Hey guys, it's Isabel, and I am here in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, for the annual March for Life. I come here every January to be able to march alongside tens of thousands of other people from all 50 states, some from all over the world, to make a stand in the United States of America for life, our most basic, common, shared human right. I've been coming to the March for Life annually since January of 2019, and every single year it just gets better and better and more powerful to be able to have a sense of community and shared values with so many other people from completely different walks of life from all over the world. This year's March for Life is a little bit different because we are in a post-Roe v. Wade America. What do I mean by that? Well, we all know a couple of years ago, the Dobbs v. Jackson decision here at the Supreme Court, which is literally a stone's throw away from where I'm staying right now in DC, overturned the historic 1973 Supreme Court case Roe v. Wade, which essentially, and it's a little bit more complicated than this, but essentially legalized abortion in the United States of America. After 1973, for almost 50 years, tens or hundreds of thousands of people have been coming every January right here to Washington, D.C. to make a stand for life, that 9 unelected justices do not have the opportunity to dictate scientifically when life begins, when a child is considered viable as science continues improving, and what our human rights are supposed to look like. Because the idea of this country at our very foundation is that our rights come from God, they don't come from the government. So being a small part of that legacy and history has just been incredibly cool for me personally as an individual over the last several years. But to know that people have been out here marching for 50 years in a row, and on the 50th anniversary year of Roe v. Wade, celebrating the historic overturning of Roe v. Wade, seeing decades upon decades of their activism and hard work and boots on the ground mentality really come to fruition, and see the results of their labor, their prayers, their sidewalk counseling with women to convince them they don't need to end the life of their preborn child. It's just the coolest feeling in the whole wide world. So since this March for Life is happening in a post-Roe v. Wade America, it has a little bit of a special theme, and that is the incredibly important role of pregnancy resource centers. If you guys haven't studied pregnancy resource centers, or we often would call them pro-life pregnancy centers, while there are 600 plus Planned Parenthood clinics that are performing abortions every single day in America, there are over 3,000 pregnancy resource centers that are offering actual choices to women, actual free healthcare to women and their children, and trying to support expectant moms in any way they can through giving free diapers, free childcare, free supplies, and anything else you can possibly imagine. Since Roe v. Wade was overturned, states have funneled more than $250 million directly into pregnancy resource centers to help women when they need it the most. And if you're unfamiliar with where the local pregnancy resource center is in your area, I highly recommend that you can just Google it, look it up for yourself. If you have the capacity to, figure out where you might be able to volunteer with your local pregnancy resource center, or check out the next time that they're doing a supply drive so that you can help families flourish. Despite a really, really cold day today, we have tons of other reasons to celebrate, including the fact that since Roe v. Wade was overturned, more than 32,000 babies' lives have been saved annually across the United States. But that doesn't mean that we can stop fighting for a culture of life, and not just to make abortion illegal, which certainly continues to be an uphill battle in certain states across the country, especially places like California, Maryland, New York, and sadly my home state of Colorado, where abortion laws have become so unbelievably anything goes that there's even a legal gray area in some of these places for infanticide, if you ask legal experts. But beyond that, trying to make abortion culturally unthinkable around the world. In 2023, there were more than 73 million abortions that happened across the world. 73 million people from last year alone who would have grown up to be doctors, pilots, nurses, lawyers, politicians, astronauts, and maybe even more importantly, husbands, wives, moms, dads, grandparents, who sadly were sacrificed on the altar of the abortion industry, on the altar of convenience, or even died as the result of a death penalty for a crime they didn't commit. 14 states in a post-Roe v. Wade America have already banned abortion essentially completely, but that doesn't mean that we can stop fighting now, which is why I've dedicated so much of my content and my public speaking this year to educating people about the reality of the abortion industry, what an abortion procedure actually is, because sadly, far too many people have absolutely no idea what it is. And more importantly, why we have to fight to make abortion not just illegal, but culturally unthinkable if we say we care about human rights. This is easily the greatest human rights issue, I would argue, of all time, but certainly of our lifetime. And I don't say this lightly when I tell you that the abortion industry in America and around the world is directly perpetrating the greatest genocide by sheer numbers the world has ever known. I'm a member of Generation Z. I was born in 1997, so I'm the first year of Gen Z, and I bet you guys probably didn't know that over 1/3 of my generation is missing. 1/3 of my generation is missing in the United States of America today simply because of abortion alone. It's time for us to continue speaking up loudly, as loud as we possibly can, for those that don't have the capacity to speak for themselves. And if we truly care about social justice, if we truly care about equal rights, if we truly care about human rights, it starts with our most fundamentally common shared human right, the right to life. Since I am out marching in the very snowy streets of Washington, D.C. today and doing some man on the street content and getting to know some people from all across the world who've come here for the March for Life, today's stream is obviously pre-recorded. I told you guys that yesterday, but I thought it would be really fun to take a walk down memory lane over this last year and share with you a best of pro-life debates compilation, mostly from my tour with Kristen Hawkins last spring semester, almost a year ago, where I was very fortunate to join her, the founder of Students for Life of America, on college campuses across the country. Many of you guys have seen some of these videos already, but I do think it's important for us to remind ourselves how we have this conversation to begin with. These are obviously the most viral clips and crazy nights of the whole experience, and you're never going to see in all of these videos the actual common ground, the agreement, the changing of somebody's mind. But I think that's a really powerful reminder that 99% of the time, you're never going to see when you change someone's mind. You're probably planting a seed in their heart or in their mind that's not going to take root for many, many, many weeks, months, years, etc. But maybe something that you said, maybe something that you posted, maybe something that you did, or a t-shirt that you wore sparked an interest in somebody enough to at least pause and think, maybe I am blindly going along with what's culturally in vogue with the abortion industry. Maybe this is something that I'm uncomfortable talking about for a reason because it's genocide. Maybe it's something that we need to be drawing more attention to, and I've been sitting back silently and complacent through this process. You never know whose mind you are going to change, but you're certainly going to have some crazy experiences along the way when you boldly stand for life and share that courage with others. Without further ado, here are the craziest, most viral moments of pro-life debates from this last year to celebrate the March for Life.
I think the fact that we had to put up barricades to protect us like I'm some freaking rock star proves that this campus has a problem, and that there's other campuses across the nation who have a problem, that they're fostering an environment on college campuses that allow this behavior. Let me tell you one thing. If I have to pay for bomb-sniffing dogs, if I have to pay for police services, which we had to pay today, if I have to pay for private bodyguards, free speech isn't free. What does your sign say? I'm trying to start.
Oh my gosh. I made it this morning. Oh my gosh, I love your Among Us phone case. It's very, very good.
I have the fetus. What?
To uterus the fetus or not to uterus is not the question the government should dictate, but the individual's choice.
Could you define uterus the fetus for us?
Oh my gosh, uterus the fetus is like one of my fave pro-choice memes. Basically, there was a Vine years ago, I think 2014, where there was someone who threw an empty soda can and went yeet. So then it just kind of became synonymous with the action of, I guess, first throwing things and then in a metaphorical sense of being liberated of something.
So you'd be comfortable yeeting a baby?
Oh, 100%.
A born baby?
Not like a born baby, because that'd make me a criminal.
But what's the difference? So your governor here, your pro-choice Republican governor, Chris Sununu, we just defeated a proposal in the legislature. He wanted to legalize abortions up until the moment of birth. What is the fundamental difference 10 minutes before birth and 10 minutes after? Why would yeeting a child who's only been out of the vaginal canal for 10 minutes be different than aborting a child?
Because we care about humanity.
Why do I care?
Because we care about you and the next generation. And the 1/3 of our generation who never got an opportunity to be here. 1/3 because of the evils of the abortion industry.
Once you know evil is happening, I think it's pretty evil if you don't stand up to defeat it. And we know abortion is a discriminatory act of violence where the privileged person gets to say whether or not the weaker, younger person gets to survive depending on whatever they have going on in their life. And we think that is discrimination, it's violence, and it's wrong. And once you understand that, you're called to speak up for those who can't speak for themselves. It's a very fundamental principle. It's one of the best things about our country is that we stand up and speak for the most vulnerable in our world. Even if they don't live here in America, we're the most charitable country in the world, sending troops, sending foreign aid across the world.
But like, you know, what if I don't want to give birth, and shouldn't that be my choice to not?
Well, you can choose not to engage in heterosexual sex.
Both of my girlfriends are transgender. I am non-binary. I have a vagina, right?
Okay, so you can choose not to engage in sex with a penis and a vagina.
Yeah.
Without protection. But even with protection, because we know that that's not entirely foolproof.
I mean, yeah.
You don't have a fundamental right to choose to engage in behaviors that we know in natural consequence is creating a unique co-living human life and then take back that consent.
Why would I not want to have sex? Like, that's kind of boring.
Yeah, I know. Sex is awesome.
Sex
Did
is
you know
awesome.
married pro-life religious people actually have the best sex lives?
She just
married
barked.
Married pro-life religious people statistically have the most satisfying sex lives.
My sex life is off the chart.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, mine is like off the chart. I literally have 2 girlfriends. If you want, I can tell you all about my fantasy dildo collection. I can tell you about
don't really care.
I mean, if you're
wait,
bragging about your sex
I mean, you're not going to get pregnant with a dildo,
Yeah,
so
if
by
this
all
is a
means,
fantasy,
partake.
If you're
That
bragging
sounds
about
like
your sex life,
I don't know if you need
Okay.
to brag, but you.
She's not married, she can't.
Dildo
You know what?
collection.
You
So
know
if
what?
that's
You know what?
participating
You know
to a
what?
satisfying
You know
sex
what?
life,
Just like she barks again.
why not choose
I
to have
just-
sexual relations with the dildo and not create a human being?
Yeah. The pro-life movement does not have any
silicone
stance
doesn't
against dildo
replace,
sex.
like human flesh. Okay.
No, it doesn't.
I know, that's why, giving yourself freely to another
Y'all are
person
just
in a marital
talking in
act is awesome.
circles. It's like really
No.
infuriating.
Okay, fine. Let's cut through the circle then. What
It's
are the
still gonna be a
consequences of
circle.
sex between a penis and a vagina? There are many, but what are just some?
You know what? I'm exhausted. Like, adios.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
for barking
being
at
here.
us.
Okay, sir, I stand firmly against putting women in jail for obtaining abortions. We as the pro-life movement stand fundamentally against those laws, which I would love to explain to you. Do you really have nothing else better to do than to come scream at a 25-year-old on a college campus? Who is they? We stand firmly against those laws. We stand firmly against those laws, sir.
A 10-year-old girl was knocked up by her father.
I would love to hear more about that
Because of
story.
people like you,
No, I am
the
firmly
doctor
against
who-
those
no,
laws.
The doctor who helped her was investigated. Do you think he's going to help 10-year-old girls raped by their father anymore?
I don't believe that
That's
ending an
because of
innocent
pro-life
life is
movement.
the answer to violence,
Because of the
and I
pro-life
stand
movement.
against putting women in prison. So a literal grown-ass man would rather come yell at me than do something valuable with his time.
Is a puppy a life worthy of respect and value?
Yes, because it is separate from a human being.
Is a blade of grass something that's life and worthy of our respect and value?
It probably could be comparable to a fertilized egg.
Is a fish in the ocean worthy of our respect and value?
Same thing as a blade of grass.
How about a single-celled organism on Mars?
Is it life?
I'm defining it as life, as a living
Yes,
single-celled
It's
organism.
a living cell, but does it have moral weight and value?
See, now we've come back to the beginning of this very long, very important, productive conversation, that there are differences between different types of life. They're living beings, they're living organisms, but there are moral hierarchies between different types of biological organisms. I would beg to differ that a human being, in or out of the womb, is worthy of our respect and value and protection. And I find it so ironic that so many people will say a single-celled organism on Mars, or a blade of grass, or a fish in the ocean, or a puppy is worthy of our undying respect, support, and protection, but a human being isn't.
Nazis go home! 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 Nazis go home!
So they're not even gonna let us speak.
Nazis go home! Nazis go
We're
home!
not even gonna be able to speak.
Nazis go home!
Where is the campus security?
Nazis go home! Nazis
They
go
can't
home!
disrupt this.
Nazis go home! Nazis go home!
Stop, just stop.
Nazis go home!
Just stop.
Nazis go
Yes,
home!
don't introduce me.
Nazis go home!
You don't need to put this.
Wow.
Sir, you can take your misogynistic views and step back.
You're a Nazi! What the fuck are you? Oh! Oh! Misogynistic views! Excuse me, ma'am! My name! We don't want you here!
This is me taking. Oh, yeah, he made it. He made it. Yeah, he made it.
Hi, guys. How's everybody doing tonight?
Let me just go live.
Oh, what you gonna do? Gonna dox us?
No, no interest in that. We are going to have a real conversation.
Nope. Fucking pigs!
So we're at VCU and Antifa's trying to crash our event. Yeah, you can back up and get out of my personal space. Kevin's been assaulted. That was my security. They're not even going to let us speak. The poor student couldn't even their desk dress me. Well, I would be happy to begin our presentation if you all would like to listen to our presentation. We'd be happy to begin our presentation and take any questions from those, and I would be happy to not actually give my planned speech and take any questions that you all have in a logical fashion. But you have to stop screaming and chanting at me.
This is what we're dealing with.
Go!
The vast majority of the school hates you. They just want you.
We don't want you here.
You don't have to like us. We can have a real conversation. So we have invited everyone to ask us questions instead of scream at us in the middle of this event.
My name is Kristen Hawkins. I'm president of Students for Life of America. Thank you for coming tonight. I would be happy to take any questions you may have. Right now we have a lot of men trying to shout at us and tell two women what we should do with our bodies and our children. And oh, let's not forget the Antifa flags and communist flags that are out here. But obviously, us being here has made some people upset. And that's okay, because this is free speech, and we have as much as right to be here as you are. Now, if you would like to ask us any questions, you can line up right here on the first step, and you can ask us any logical, orderly questions, one at a time. And Isabel and I would be happy to address any of the questions you may have. Does anyone have any questions they would like to ask? Please come to the mic and ask your question. And maybe everyone who's chanting and trying to stop free speech would be willing to be quiet for a second. You're stifling free speech. Last time I checked. Wait, what's your question? So
the great irony of all of this is that this is the type of behavior that is actually fascism, just so you know. So, just a thought. Why don't you guys come down and we mean it. No question is off limits.
One at a time.
Is off limits.
No, this is what fascists do. Sadly, this is the result of a culture of death that what we are seeing. A dehumanization of human beings. You see, with abortion, we dehumanize the child in the womb. We call the child in the womb nothing, a blob of tissue, a parasite, and dehumanizing that child allows us to tolerate the killing of the child. The behavior we're seeing right now is what's allowing people to go into Christian schools and shoot children. This is the behavior.
Abortion rights! When do we want them now? What do we want?
To kill babies!
When do we want them now?
You want to be able to kill babies, we understand. We understand. Now would be time for campus security. Are they coming any time? Are they on their way? Is campus security on their way? They have a rule of ECU that they're not allowed.
So again, we would love to invite literally anyone. If you guys want to ask a question, come on down, ask a question.
Yes, Isabel and I are happy to put aside our planned speech and to address or answer any question you all have. No, actually, I would say you don't. You should.
How about you guys? Do any of you guys have a question? We got one. Awesome. Come on down.
We have one question.
All
Please
these
be
school
silent.
shootings are happening. How come you guys care about life when it's inside the womb, but when it's outside the womb, y'all don't want free childcare? Y'all don't want free, you don't want to actually care about these kids once they're outside of the womb. You also don't want free formula. You guys won't do anything to stop these gun violence that are happening. They're killing these kids. I was in a shooting 5 years ago at Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
And even though it was a false call, had it been real, some of us would have died. So if you're gonna say y'all are pro-life, that means life outside the womb.
It absolutely does.
You're absolutely right, ma'am. That's why the pro-life movement has started and sustained 3,000. You won't even let me answer her question. Would you like me to answer the question? Well, your behavior right now, dehumanizing Isabel and I and telling us to fuck off, your behavior right now is what leads to gun violence. Because you have dehumanized Isabel and I to the point where you call us Nazis and tell us to fuck off. You dehumanize us. That's what Nazis do. So I would say, if we want to talk about who Nazis are, you're coming out and not acting very right.
To answer the question, which I think is really important, our generation cares about school shootings. We care about school safety, and we care about families. The best way that we can possibly support families is through the work that the pro-life movement is doing every single day. We are providing free childcare. We are providing free formula. We are providing free health care for expectant mothers and their children every single day. I hate that you guys have made up your mind about people like me because of a post you saw on social media. When we're here to have a real dialogue and a real conversation.
We want to be dictators and fascists and scream at instead of actually listening to the answers from a reasonable question that the young lady asked.
Actual logical responses and facts.
I can't hear what you're saying. Can you come down here? Sorry, one more time. Where do we believe life begins? Biologically, life begins at conception. That's affirmed by 96% of biologists.
You're opposed to fertility clinics.
I'm opposed to creating human life in the womb and discarding that human life.
Discard thousands of fetuses.
We have a problem with that, yes.
Yeah,
But there is an ethical way to engage in IVF and fertility clinics and create. We talk about it all the time. We'd be happy to answer questions about that if you guys are willing to ask.
Which Would you like to ask a question?
Hey, so do you oppose Planned Parenthood?
I oppose Planned Parenthood, yes.
9% of what Planned Parenthood does is preventative and does.
That's actually not true. The Washington Post, of all sources, which is an abundantly pro-abortion source, says 11% of Planned Parenthood services are directly related to the abortion industry. It is a literal abortion.
It's like paying for people who are getting shit like that.
Would you like to Google the word fascist?
Unapologetically
Because
an
that's,
abortion
you're
provider.
exemplifying
There
the
are
word
about
fascist.
600 Planned Parenthood clinics in the United States that perform abortions. There are about 3,000 pro-life pregnancy centers that perform free
Our
maternal care.
students at VCU Students for Life have just as much right to be here. They have just as much to be here.
There are
Our
several.
Students for
There
Life
are
group
several.
who are sitting there and their education is being disrupted by your fascist dictator behavior.
I'm sorry, you're saying
I can't
that what
stand you
we're
for that.
doing is indoctrination and what you're doing is
Because
not
we're letting you
indoctrination.
ask any question you want, and you won't ask a question. We're happy to answer any questions you have.
1%, motherfuckers!
I'm the 1%.
Actually, that's not true. No, sorry. Science proves you're wrong. I'm sorry.
All you do is plug in
Great. Are they going to remove so we can actually have a speech?
here.
My degree is actually in biomedical sciences, and my master's degree is in, okay? So I'm here as a scientist to talk to you about following the science. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, they're going to attack us if we do that.
Fuck pro-life! Fuck pro-life! Fuck pro-life! Fuck pro-life! Fuck pro-life!
So again, if you're just now tuning in, we're at Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond. We haven't even been able to give a speech or answer any questions yet because instead this is what is happening. I actually feel really horrible for these kids because they're absolutely miserable. So I'm not persecuted. I'm happy to be here. I would love to have a real dialogue with any one of you. We are inviting a real conversation with any one of you. I would love to hear more about your signs. I would love to hear more about your perspective.
Would you all like to ask a question, one at a time? We'll answer any question you have, but one person has to ask a question.
We
and
can't
be
hear
happy
you.
to
Can you
answer
ask
them.
your friends to be quiet? No.
No.
We're here to have a
We
real
have every
dialogue.
right to be
Thank you for
here.
your question.
What do you mean by abortion industry?
The corporate abortion industry that actually profits, would you like to answer a question? That profits off of abortion. Planned Parenthood makes a profit off of every abortion that they commit.
Planned Parenthood is non-profit, dumbass.
Planned Parenthood
No, they
makes a
actually,
profit
okay,
off
they're a
abortion.
nonprofit that profits over $150 billion. Yes, if you can go to GuideStar.com, they bring in
Planned Parenthood's own
990s,
website provides
dumbass.
their revenue statistics.
It's called the 990s. Well, we didn't get very far
All
there.
right. Thank you for your question. That's what we mean by the abortion industry. Does anyone else have a question?
Why are they letting this happen? This violates school rules. Can I go up and ask them? Excuse me, I thought VCU rules were that you can't disrupt like a peaceful gathering. Like, why isn't anyone stopping? Like, there's students here that have gathered to hear me speak, and no one's doing anything. Are you going to remove them? Because they won't. We've offered to suspend their speech, to just answer their questions, and they got in line. So they're not doing anything.
Public speaker, and I am here with Students for Life to answer your questions from a Gen Z perspective on how we can embrace a more loving approach to women and children. And I would love to incorporate any of your questions into this conversation, because what we are here to do on any college campus, but VCU included, is to have a real dialogue and a real conversation.
This abortion. And a third trimester abortion happens after 20 weeks. The abortionist will fill this needle with digoxin or potassium chloride. The goal of this needle is to cause a cardiac arrest. This needle, using ultrasound-guided technology, will be inserted into the mother's womb and will cause a cardiac arrest. In 2 days, the mother, if all goes according to plan, will deliver a dead child. I will boo too for third trimester abortion.
There is straight up a grown-ass man out here.
There's a second trimester abortion. This is called a sulfur clamp. You can Google this. This is what happens when we try to explain abortion to pro-abortion people. They can't actually handle the truth. In a second trimester abortion, the abortionist will latch on, to the limbs of the child. They will clamp, and they will twist, and they will pull. And they will do that limb from limb until finally they do the fetal trunk, and then eventually they do the skull of the child. The child is removed. Then the abortionist will use a loop-shaped device called a curette. Excuse me, I do this for a living. Do you not think I know how abortions are done? You can Google this. This is like common sense. Then the abortionist takes the curette and scrapes the lining of the uterus to make sure no parts of the child are remaining. That's how abortions are done, and they do the whole time. But I would do too for abortion, but they're too afraid. They're too afraid.
I'm just trying to meet all of you and get to know you and have a civilized dialogue.
This is Antifa. If you've never seen Antifa, remember sometimes how I say Antifa comes out to my events? This is Antifa cheering. We knew they were Antifa because they're all wearing masks. They have to cover up their identity because they pretend like they're cool, but they're not. They don't want their identity because like they're going to be applying for future jobs and stuff. They don't want anyone to know. There's about 8 police officers out in the hall, and they're refusing to come in, even though the VCU policy is that you can't disrupt something like this. And they're actually the fascists of the room. So yeah,
This is fascism.
let's Google the
And
word
they're
fascist.
chanting, we hate fascists, because they can't stand a single difference of opinion or a real dialogue. We are inviting anyone to ask any question.
Let's see.
We haven't even
The
given a speech
definition
yet.
of fascist
And this is
is a
instead
person who's extremely authoritarian, who's intolerant, and oppressive. So when we look at the definition of fascism, it's actually you. You are fascist. Your actions today show that you are fascist. 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 I Googled what fascism is. Fascism's right here, and it's what you're doing. I have 4 children. Do you think your booing affects me?
So again, if you have any question, please feel free to come ask us any question. I don't want to lock women up. We are very outspoken against those laws.
Absolutely,
The
that's
pro-life
not
movement
true.
stands against those
Let's
laws.
have the old white man explain to me what I'm doing here. Go ahead, sir.
Can I ask your name? Can I ask your name, sir? What's your name? Okay, sir. I stand firmly against putting women in jail for obtaining abortions. We, as the pro-life movement, stand fundamentally against those laws, which I would love to explain to you. Do you really have nothing else better to do than to come scream at a 25-year-old on a college campus?
A 10-year-old girl in jail.
Who is they? We stand firmly against those laws. We stand firmly against those laws, sir.
A 10-year-old girl was knocked up by her father.
I would love to hear more about that
Because of people
story.
like you.
No, I I am firmly against those laws.
The doctor who helped her was investigated. Do you think he's going to help 10-year-old girls raped by their father in New York?
I don't believe that ending an innocent life is the answer to violence, and I stand against putting women in prison. So a literal grown-ass man would rather come yell at me than do something valuable with his time.
The school's gonna let them get their way.
Just go home! Let this go home! Let this guy right here speak for you guys.
This is Greg, or it's my head of security. He's amazing.
Campus police have decided just not to come tonight because apparently this isn't a legitimate threat, even though this is happening as we speak. So the campus police are choosing not to attend. This person's having an absolute meltdown. I can't see her eyes either, so that's fun. And despite them screaming that they're going to harm us, the campus police are nowhere to be found and have decided to just let this happen. This is wild. Well, Kristen, should we tell the internet people why we're here? Because they want to listen.
Speaking at Virginia Commonwealth University, as Isabel has joined my speaking tour this spring, I'm speaking to a dozen campuses across the country. Today, Antifa decided to show up, and it continues to threaten us. Will not let us speak. Campus police here at VCU is so afraid of Antifa. Instead of removing these jerks for violating their own campus policy, excuse me, you can back up a second. Instead of enforcing their own policy, they want to shut down this event, and they're going to give in to all the crybaby fascists and Antifa.
Amazingly, we actually do have a question. So, yes, what is your question?
If you give so much of a fuck about children, why are you letting police slam someone, a student?
I am so sorry. I can barely hear you.
If you care about children, why are you letting police slam a student outside the wall?
I don't know what's happening outside.
Just because they tried to stop you, build your fucking weapon.
Wow.
We didn't do anything wrong. You give us a fuck about children, and you let your security guards grab people from the room and hurt them.
When people are threatening other people's safety and coming into your face.
All right,
questions. We have a question.
What do you think the Nazis are on? Ours or yours?
If you genuinely have to ask this question after the last hour that we've been here.
Would you like me to answer the question, sir? Would you like me to answer the question? Or are you going to yell at me?
Answer your question.
Would you like me to answer the question? Well, if you like me to answer the question,
I'm sorry, can we answer the question? Thank you.
Back up. Well, considering how many millions that Nazis killed in the Holocaust, and they killed them because they first dehumanized a group of people they didn't like, that's what happens every single day in abortion clinics across our country. The Nazis were pro-abortion, and they were pro-eugenics. The Nazis actually learned eugenics from Margaret Sanger and actually came here. The Nazi Party actually came here in the 1920s America to learn from Margaret Sanger. Oh, we have a question! Let the lady speak!
Thank you.
Go ahead, ask your question, ma'am.
Investigated. Are you not going to let a 10-year-old girl get help from a doctor when she's been raped by her father? That's what you guys passed in Tennessee. The Family Foundation, the Right to Life people. 10-year-old girls can't get an abortion.
I don't believe that a person's circumstances of conception dictate their value in the world, just like I don't believe people conceived out of wedlock are bad.
10-year-old girl has to have the father's name.
A 10-year-old girl doesn't have to deliver the child.
No, she doesn't.
She will have a
freedom of
C-section.
religion in this country.
Sir, I'm not bringing up religion. You are bringing up religion, sir. So would you like to back off? You can back off.
You
thousands of dollars in tuition to learn this? Because this is an expensive school to go to.
Just arrest me to leave instead of leaving. I think we have the police arrest us if they want us to leave. Because they want us to leave, but they should arrest me if they want me to leave. Just check. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving.
All right, so would anyone else like to ask a legitimate question? Have a real dialogue. Okay, yeah, thank you for coming. Can you come up with closer? It's really hard.
Just leave our home. Leave our city.
When it comes to terms with actual children who are forced to give birth against their will, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I think that's a very tragic circumstance, and we talk about this a lot.
We'd like to give an answer to her question.
Would you like me to answer your question, Neil? Or would you want them to keep yelling at me? Would you like to tell your friends to stop yelling at me? Sure. Yeah. One, that's a tragic circumstance, but we don't believe that your circumstances of conception changes your value. When a young girl is raped, her body is not going to be able, the young girl is not going to be able to physically give birth. So what happens in that case is they help her get to as far along as pregnancy as possible, and then she delivers a child via C-section, but no one's forcing her to become a parent. In fact, the pro-life movement would obviously advocate for adoption for that child, but we don't think a child who's been conceived and raped, whose father is a monster, is also a monster. Just like how we don't believe that people who are born out of wedlock should be called bastards and should have less privileges like they used to have in our world. We used to think children who were born out of wedlock, like my great-grandmother, are bastards, and they were born in workhouses with no privilege, no right to inherit any property. That was wrong. We also think treating children who've been conceived in sexual assault as monsters because their fathers are monsters is equally wrong, because every human being has an equal right to life and equal worth as long as, they're innocent, right?
I also think that when a child has had so much horrible trauma happen to them, like rape or incest or being raped by her father, like the instance that you're saying, the answer to treat that girl's pain is not to add more trauma to the situation. So abortion always ends the life of a child, but it also always puts the life of the mother at risk. Planned Parenthood has killed several women from abortion procedures. The chemical abortion, the abortion pill that you take at home, always puts the life of the mom at risk. Women bleed out in their bathroom, and it's absolutely tragic and horrifying. Obviously, it's a less than ideal circumstance, and it's a tragic, harrowing reality, but the answer to help that child and that girl is not to add more trauma to her circumstance. We want to help walk her through that trauma and find healing on the other side, instead of giving her twice as likely reality to be committing suicide later on in life, to have higher rates of anxiety and depression. Abortion would only add to the trauma of her circumstance rather than helping her in the situation that she's in. And thank you genuinely for coming and asking the question.
The sound of nobody wanting you here.
Do you think your wanting me determines my value? Because I know I have value. Your wanting me has nothing to do with my value.
Have a stance like that to say, okay, a 12-year-old girl, like if she's raped by her father, okay, number one, that's already a sin. Raping your daughter, and then by a grown man, that's pedophilia. And so then saying, oh, the little girl should get like the retribution, okay, fine, believe that.
It's horrifying, and I wish we could have a real dialogue about it because these are the conversations that are dominating the news cycle and making us hate each other, right? But we don't have to hate each other. We can have a real conversation just like this, not like what our friends over there are doing, and find common ground together and really learn how to progress through this very important issue that our generation really cares about, right? So thank you so much for being here. What's your name? Nice to meet you, Amy. I'm Isabel, and I'm very, very glad that you were able to come tonight. I'm sorry this is all happening.
Just so you know, I'm still here. I'm safe. I have 2 security guards next to me. There was just an altercation with one of the pro-lifers in the audience who was assaulted. The police has told them to leave. Antifa's refusing to leave. They want us to leave, but I'm refusing to leave until they remove Antifa. I I hope I don't get arrested for refusing to leave my own event tonight.
Well, I had a really nice conversation with my new friend Jamie, who came and asked an important question about what would happen if a child was raped by her father and how we would handle a situation of abortion that way. It was a great question. We want more questions like that. Unfortunately, people are just screaming instead, so that's been fascinating. The campus police have now decided to come out of nowhere. They decided not to come initially, and we will see how this goes. We had a great question, so if we have any other questions, please feel free to come have a real conversation with us. You are all invited.
We'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Why do you use fear tactics like pulling out a big fucking needle and...
This isn't a fear tactic because this is what actually happens is your medical tools.
As a fear tactic to scare people, when instead you could be fighting for actually making women...
Do you know I changed my mind on the death penalty? Do you know how I changed my mind on the death penalty? Do you know why I changed my mind on the death penalty? Because I learned what happens in a death penalty case, and that's how I changed my mind and why I don't support the death penalty in America. So I believe anybody who supports abortion, this is not a fear tactic. This is a sofa clamp. This is a medical tool, and if you support abortion, you should be okay with this.
On actually making women's health
That's a great question.
We absolutely do. We absolutely do focus on that. That's why we operate more than 3,000 pregnancy centers. But when you advocate for abortion, you have to know.
Centers across America that provide free prenatal care to women. Are you going to be able to do clinics in America?
I don't know. We're trying to get the police to remove them. The police want me to leave, but I'm refusing to leave because you all came here to hear me talk. So I don't know if I'll get arrested eventually too, but I'm refusing to leave until they remove our team.
Students that go here, and I am pro-choice, but I'm still trying to learn about it.
Yeah.
And, I'm open to it. But yeah,
I'm sorry.
BC is very
I want to thank you for coming. You're pro-choice and came to my talk. Thank you. That took a lot of courage.
I feel like everyone should have an open mind.
Yeah.
But, still stand strongly on their feet.
Thank you for coming up and saying that. I don't know if they're going to let me speak, but I'm not going to leave until because I'm not going to let them tell me I can't speak. So thank you so much for coming. She's pro-choice and came up to me and said she came here because she really wanted to hear our talk tonight, and she wanted to know if I was actually going to be able to talk. And so I said, I don't know, but I'm not going to leave. But she wanted to thank me for coming here tonight as a pro-choice student. So there is hope in humanity, just not with these people, sadly.
Because abortion is a term that has been used for treatment of ectopic pregnancy and miscarriage. Ectopic pregnancy and miscarriage treatment is fundamentally different from an elective abortion. I would love to answer your question. The treatment for an ectopic pregnancy and a miscarriage. Okay.
Why are you yelling at them? He's the one pushing everything. Are you fucking blind? Let's back up. Let's back up for a moment. Thank you.
So I'd be happy to start my talk now.
I'd love to finish answering your question if you want to have a conversation about it. Okay, what's up? I'm so sorry. There's a lot of yelling. We can't hear you.
What? I can't see your face. What?
It's really hard to hear you
because we can't see your
mouth. There's a lot
moving.
of screaming going on over there. So can you just try to yell maybe?
Did you know that the U.S. has one of the highest death maternity rates?
It does.
Yeah.
And that's terrible.
And that's something we're fighting against every single day. We don't like a high maternity death rate. We're fighting against that with better health care for women.
But having abortion doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have a lower maternity death rate. In fact, Poland, Chile, countries that historically have always banned abortion have actually had the lowest mortality rate for pregnant women. So those two things actually don't go hand in hand. There's a lot of reasons why we have high mortality for pregnant women in our country that I'm happy to address, but it doesn't go hand in hand because the countries historically have been pro-life. actually, meaning they don't allow abortion freely like we do, because we're one of 4 countries in the world that allows abortion freely up to the moment of birth. They actually have the lowest maternal mortality rates.
Thank you for coming and for your question. Thank you.
Very hit. Where's my phone?
They already took someone away and are filling out a report.
Yeah.
Okay, I know a lot's going on, but we had some other people come in. Were there any other questions? What?
I weigh 248 pounds. What does that have to do with something that? Are you judging me because of the size of my body, sir? Yes, you did. Yes, that's what you just did. You're fat phobic? Yeah.
Thank you guys for being
here. You're fat phobic. Thank you. You're fetus phobic.
So again,
sir, you have a rip in your skirt. You might want to zip up your skirt. No, I'm not leaving your campus until you let me peacefully speak.
We want to stay. We want to have a real conversation. Why can't we remove the violent threat instead?
Are we going to be allowed to come back in?
Okay, we want to have a real conversation. We would prefer not to leave.
All right, they're kicking us out. They're saying maybe we'll be allowed back in. I'm not leaving!
They are temporarily removing us from the room.
Where are you taking me? Where's the room?
Instead of kicking out the protesters,
are we going back to the safe
modern America.
I'm not leaving until I speak.
We're not going to leave until we talk.
I'm not leaving until I speak, and I fucking mean that. What happened to you? Are you with them?
Yep.
You got in the mix of that? Are you all right?
Well, that was fun. I honestly sometimes forget that those things happen. Like, they're just so outrageously crazy that I end up blocking them from my memory. But I'm so grateful for the opportunity to converse with people from all different walks of life and do what we can to change as many minds as possible. Now it's your guys' turn. So today, if you're not marching in Washington, D.C., or if you're not attending one of your state March for Life events happening in your state capital, do me a favor and just try to put something out there within your sphere of influence, whether it's a post on social media, a conversation that you have over a cup of coffee with a friend, or wearing a fun pro-life t-shirt to school next Monday. Whatever you can do to help your community understand why we fight so strongly for life, for the 1/3 of our generation who isn't here, for the 73 million innocent people who lost their lives in 2023 alone around the world, and for everyone else who has been sacrificed on the altar of the abortion industry. We march for them. You guys can keep following along with my March for Life journey all over Instagram and TikTok today. Hope to see you over there. And we are back for the stream Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern when I'm back in Florida. Good news, I'm moving. That all got figured out. So we have a really cool new home studio setup coming to you guys very soon. And you guys know the drill before we go. If you liked this video and you enjoyed seeing all of those crazy viral moments and want other people to have the opportunity to see them too, don't forget to hit the like button. That could look like a little thumbs up or a heart depending on where you're watching. And most importantly, smash that follow or subscribe button wherever you guys are watching to help us continue to grow all of these independent channels one day at a time. Courage is contagious. Don't forget that. Courageously stand for life and don't be afraid to march for what is right in our society. Love you guys so much. Have a great weekend.